What's going on, everybody? This is Justin Smith of Palmetto Coast Exotics, and this is the ChondroCast, the podcast about green tree pythons and the people that keep them. Enjoy the show.
Clutch late 2018, so I was planning on kind of giving her a break this year just to recoup, but I don't know. I'm starting to have second thoughts about that because she's just bounced back so well from laying that clutch that I've thought about putting another male with her and seeing what happens, but we'll see. I'm not sure yet.
Right on. Yeah, actually, I did the same thing with mine. I gave her the year off, and I can tell that she's ready again this come November. So yeah, I don't regret it at all.
Is that when you're pairing yours up, Luke? You pair yours up in the fall?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in November. In Southern California, we got no rain whatsoever, but it got a little colder. But up in Northern California, it started raining like crazy come November. So I might not even try a temp drop and just see if the rain will get them to go.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of fool around a little bit.
Yeah.
Right on, man.
I tend to follow the more just when they look ready, put them together. Yep. And when they seem tired of each other, pull them apart and feed them, and then give them a break, give them a week or two off, and then put them back together.
Right on, man. Yeah, that's what Justin did, right?
Yeah, I put mine together in early June, and just left them. And I think I separated him to feed him, but I pulled him once I realized that there wasn't that when I figured out that she ovulated is when I was like, oh, okay, like now it's time for him to go. So.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, she ovulated, and I thought it was just some follicle development, and me, like an idiot, went back and looked at the pictures I took of her and was like, dude, that was totally an ovulation. Like, what the hell? You idiot.
But. And that female, did you get that directly from Signal Herp?
I did.
That is cool.
It was actually kind of a bucket. At the time I wasn't keeping any green tree pythons, but that was always kind of like the pinnacle, for me, is what I wanted was green tree pythons. And I had, always heard all the great stories about Rico, and, as researching the species, it was just like, man, I really want an animal from him. And of course, at that time he was really, really sick and going through all his treatment and all that, and it was just like, this is my time. If I'm going to get us an animal from Rico, I've got to do it now. And that kind of forced my hand. It was just meant to be, and I kind of haven't looked back since then. So it was just one of those things. I had to have one from him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome, man. I've always wanted one from them. Like, it'd just be so cool. It's a little piece of chondro history, right?
Yeah, it is.
Exactly. That's kind of the way I look at it. And, that's kind of how I do a lot of my purchasing stuff. I have more of like a bucket list of people that I want to support in the industry, the people that I think do well and represent the animals well. And it's like I'll buy stuff from people just because I want to support that particular person and the way they promote themselves in the industry. And, I've still got a list of people I want to get animals from eventually, just kind of based on that. You can always find cool stuff.
Definitely. All right. Well, we're already got this thing going. Welcome, everybody. This is episode 8 of the ChondroCast. I'm Justin Smith of Palmetto Coast Exotics. Tonight, I'm joined by Mr. Jason Brumley of Brumley Reptile Company and Luke Myers. What's up?
What's up?
How's it going, everybody?
This is the first time I've used the conference call thing on our show, so it's nice to know I can have multiple people on and it still go through and I don't have any issues.
Right on. Yeah, it's working perfectly on my end. Can hear everyone great.
Yep, got you guys loud and clear, and I'd like to just, come out and say thank you guys for asking me to come on. I've been looking forward to it and sit down and talk some chondros and have a good chat.
Easy decision, man. You got some really good-looking stuff.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
And Luke just hit me up. Luke is like, hey, man, you ever want somebody to come on with you? I'm like, hell yeah, man. More the merrier.
I can imagine that having a little bit of, an extra voice never hurts.
Oh, it definitely helps. Like doing the THP with Jake, he helps fill in the gaps so much. He doesn't realize how much he helps, even though he doesn't, as far as setup and stuff like that. He's pretty hands off, but he helps just by being there to help give me a break.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not a social creature by nature, so it can be a little awkward every now and then. And having him there him and alcohol help a lot. Is what I'll leave it at.
Oh man, I should have picked up some beers.
Oh, I got a whole thing of liquor right across the table from me right now.
Oh no! Right on.
Yeah, I wish I could join you guys with a cold, tasty beverage, but unfortunately, I still got to drive home after this. So, yeah,
oh man,
that's one of the disadvantages of living way out in the middle of absolutely nowhere. Is I get really terrible phone signal at my home. So
okay.
I'm currently parked in my truck at the local Walmart here in town, just to hang out and talk chondros in the parking lot and do a little people watching while I'm at it. So.
Oh man, that's dedication.
Yeah,
All right. Well, first things first. Luke, did you get that mail from Irby yet?
No, I have not. I'm still have the Timor pythons in a payment plan.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So I'm kind of waiting to get them out of here, get that baby out of there, and then I'm gonna set up a whole different quarantine thing.
Cool.
So he's being really cool. Let me take my time, and then I will be getting that mail.
That thing is insane.
Apparently it just shed. It looks pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, he's making some really nice stuff here lately.
Oh man, yeah. I just want all the Soul Train genetics I can get.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get my hands on some of that stuff at some point. I'm gonna get to that level. I'm just right now. I'm at the bottom of the Ponzi scheme, working my way up.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere.
Definitely. Well, that's the thing is like we have so many people that are like, they did not. I've talked about it before, but they want to just take the escalator to the top, and me, I'm like, I'll just take the stairs. I'm in no hurry. I take my time.
Some people got the pockets for that.
That too.
I'm somewhere middle range when it comes to that. I did start at the bottom, but didn't. I ain't at the top either. I'm fortunate here in Texas. We have such a great chondro community, and some of the guys here just have ridiculous collections. Like Bill Stiegel, good friend. Go over and look at his collection, and it's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Seeing things like the Sickness and his blue Cyclops, and he's got all this crazy stuff. It blows your mind.
Yeah, man. Well, you got that. I actually have one of the female from the same one. Didn't you have the VCRP, the 14 animal? I have one of the babies from the repeat pairing that Vita did with Sean.
Okay.
And,
yeah.
That stuff's pretty awesome. Yeah, your guy looks pretty healthy.
Yeah, I like that. He's a really nice kind of tricolor. Got blue, green, and yellow. Nice little diamond pattern with a little bit of black speckling in it. Really, really nice looking animal. But unfortunately, I bought that as a sexed female, and of course, it's a male. I've had really terrible luck buying females. Trying to balance out the collection, and I've unfortunately, I've bought two females that are not females. When it comes to that, everything else I bought is like an unchanged, unsexed Neo, and I just happened to get lucky with the first one that I got from Rico. It happened to be the female.
And which one? What did that one come from? That Rico girl? What's the background?
She's a Cyclops
type.
she's, pretty much kind of a locality. But there's I think it was 2 or 3 generations back, there was a little bit of Lara mixed into that. So it's not like a pure Cyclops or, pure documented. There's a little bit of Lara outcross into it, but it's, such a minute percentage at this point. I just call her kind of a Cyclops type.
Right.
And leave it at that,
So how many chondros do you have in your group right now?
I have 6 adults, and then I have the 12 babies right now. So I don't have a huge chondro collection. Of course, I have a lot of other stuff.
You've got all kinds of other stuff.
So yeah, I've kind of been on a diversification kick a little bit lately. Just I like to keep it fresh and have new projects coming up, in the future. So I do work with, a few different species of pythons, but my collection's about 200 animals in total. So it on top of a, full-time job, it keeps me busy.
I'm sure.
I've got not even 30, man, and that takes up enough time as is.
Oh man, I feel like a newbie. I'm under 10 right now. Or maybe I'm at 12. Oh my god, too much.
More isn't always better, though.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I did was, about 2 years ago, was I built a really nice facility that really helped me streamline and maximize efficiency. So it does help when you have a setup that's made for keeping. It's nice. I've got the drains in the floors, so everything's washable. I've got hoses that reach everywhere, so I can just spray stuff out, dump it on the floor if I have to, and then hose it down, and it just drains out. It's nice in that respect.
So did you just get a separate standalone building?
I have a big barn, and I just built. I cut off half of it, and then I turned that into a snake building.
Because me and Jake are currently trying to figure out what we want to do. Because when I get a house, we're likely going to end up getting maybe a 12 by 27 shed or something like that, and then sealing that, running electricity, running drywall, all that, insulating it, all that good stuff, and hopefully turning that into our little shindig.
Yeah, that's funny that you mentioned the drains on the floor, because I work at the avian facility at the college I go to, and they have the drains on the floor, and I think about that all the time. I'm like, oh man, when I get a snake room, the first thing I want is drainage on the floor, because it makes things so much easier.
Oh, good. Yeah. You cleaning stuff out, or inevitably you mess with enough pythons, you're gonna get one of them is gonna take a huge dump, or try to piss all over you, and it's just great. You just hold it out over the floor and not care. I don't have to go running for a trash can or the sink, and afterwards just squirt it down with the hose, wash it down to the drain, and
good to go.
You can mop it and be done. It's all really nice, and that's one thing I do not regret. So, but yeah, when you get to building it, hit me up. I've probably got a few pointers that'll help you with your room. Just to kind of maximize some efficiency.
Yeah.
And,
we talked about the shed, and then we also talked about you can get those shipping containers for relatively cheap.
Oh yeah.
And I know Bill Hughes, who's in Vegas, that's what he has his stuff set up in that. And I mean, if you can get that, if you can get that rolling in Vegas without any problems, I don't see why we would.
Yeah, if you put a decent air conditioning system and closed cell spray foam, you have them come spray insulate it, which that's what I did too. I've got 4-inch thick spray foam insulation and all exterior doors, all sealed and stuff like that. It's like being inside an igloo cooler. I can keep that thing. I get very little variance. If I want to manipulate temperatures, that's me turning on the air conditioner or something like that. It doesn't. And where I get, my summers are routinely 108, 109 degrees in the summer, and we're definitely running some air conditioning, but that room makes it nice because I've just got a little mini split unit, and it keeps my whole room right where I want it.
Sweet. So do you run everything ambient then, or do you still use like heat tape and panels on stuff?
No, because I have different, I have different pythons and different requirements. I keep my room like between 76 and 79 and 78, somewhere in there. And then, I'll supplement with, my chondro cages all have radiant heat panels, and, the other stuff has heat tape or, whatever it needs. But I don't have to, run it that high to achieve the temperatures I want. And it just makes it nice because I get a little bit of customization. And like I said, in my situation where I'm working with several different species, it's, allows for that variance and customization.
Let's say it's semi-ambient then.
Yeah, it can be unpleasant, when you're in there working hard, but it's not quite as bad as like an 86-degree room.
Yeah, and I like ambience. Like, ambience are nice, but that, like, especially when you got a collection that big and you're in that thing for hours. Like, I don't know about y'all, but I cannot stand being hot. Like, I hate sweating even when I'm doing nothing. And so that would just drive me up the wall, just constantly. I mean, you're burning calories, I guess, but I don't know. I'm not into it.
Right. I'm definitely with you on that. I like to cool it down a little bit, make it at least bearable.
Yeah.
Because, something as simple as, with a collection like mine, something as simple as changing water bowls is, that's a 3-hour job, with my setup. Being efficient, it still takes a while to go through. And of course, most of my stuff I use like the disposable water bowls, so you just toss them, put a new one in, and fill it up, and walk away.
Right on.
So when did you first get into chondros? What was your first chondro, and how long ago was it that you jumped into them?
I bought my first chondro it was a 2012 late 2012 hatchling that I bought. It was like the very beginning of 2013. That's pretty much when I started getting into them, and I bought my second and third pretty quickly after I got the first one acclimated, and then it kind of skyrocketed from there. I bought a few more, and then I got a wild hair. I think it was 2014, and I bought a couple of imports that just did not do well for me, and I had a couple of freak accidents, and I ended up losing both of those imports. That one prolapsed, and the other one was just hiding an RI, and by the time I got it treatment, it was a little too late.
It was too far gone.
And so I got those, and then I kind of took a step back, and I just kind of kept my collection, which was all good from there. I had to venture. At one point, I was up to, I think 9 or 10. And then, like I said, I lost those 2 imports, and then I had a really, really phenomenal animal that I had bought from David Newman. It was my second animal from David Newman. It was from his Azambuja and Riff clutch. That it was kind of, I don't know, David had just kind of messaged me and was like, "Do you want this?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, I want it." He offered me a really good deal, and I got it. And I mean, he was like several months later, that thing just turned like blue. It was solid blue with black flecks, and I mean, he was absolutely kicking himself for selling me that snake. But that one, I'm still heartbroken over that thing. That thing eventually it was hiding an RI and just never responded to any kind of treatment, and it ended up perishing. But man, that was a beautiful chondro, just gorgeous.
Yeah, I actually saw that picture of that one. That thing was ridiculous, like so cool.
Yeah, it was nice to look at while I had it. I wish that thing was still here, but Yeah, that's chondros for you. You know,
Yeah,
they'll keep you humble.
they're really good at giving you swift shots to the nuts.
Yeah, they will multiple times over.
Yeah.
You know, but when it's good, it's really good.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like
It's a feast or
hatching that
famine
clutch
kind of
last
species.
year was just phenomenal. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I was about to ask, have you, now that you've hatched that clutch, are you getting the bug again? Maybe you'll add some new stuff, or are you just really enjoying the babies?
A little bit of both. Like I've been toying with the idea of actually letting a few of my Neos go so I can try to add a couple more. You know, I'd like to try to, talk some breeders I know out of a couple of females that they got laying around. So maybe I could kind of start balancing my sex ratio so I'm not, so I can produce more of these darn things. But we'll see how that goes. It's like right now I'm still it's so hard to even want to let any of these chondros go because it's just, man, I don't know how they're going to turn out, and I don't want that seller's regret, but at the same point in time, I'd like to fund some other projects and, upgrade a few things around, and it'd be nice. So, talking with Bill and listening to your show with Bill, the last show, and
yeah,
it's kind of making me feel like, it'd be all right if, you let one go and it does turn out, like Bill says, it's just great advertising and all that sort of stuff. So I'll probably end up letting a few go to, fund a few things and see what we can do about maybe at least adding one more really nice female to the collection. And
well, the nice thing is if you end up, one of those snakes that you do get the seller's remorse from, ends up going to a buddy and they end up reproducing stuff from that snake, you do have access to it, and it is something you can tap into, at least to a degree.
Yeah, absolutely. And that would be my hope, that anything I would do with letting them go would be going to people I consider friends or close enough to that I could keep an eye on them,
right?
So, but yeah, because the male that I used for that pairing, he's got a pretty impressive pedigree behind him. He goes all the way back to like Joan Collins and Pygar on the blue line, and he's got Grasshopper and Flex on his side too, which is a pretty melanistic pairing. And there's some pretty nice bloodlines running through him. So, and the female, the Cyclops, it's really kind of hard to tell because it's very subtle, but like every one of her scales is outlined with a faint baby blue edge. So she's got some blue. It's just really hard to pick up in pictures. It's like a really thin blue right on the edge of each scale. And so I'm hoping, with his bloodlines and her coloration that, a couple of these might turn out pretty nice.
Oh, yeah, there were some dark ones in there for sure. I saw a few where I was like, oh, man, it looks like it's going to be a good one.
Yeah. And then, of course, we got I was, really impressed. They all pretty much, all but one, they're just beasts and have been since pretty much day one. I think I only had to use chick down on about 4 of them to get them started. All the rest of them, took off with the exception of the one. And I've got one I'm still assist feeding right now. So we're like 3 months deep and he still won't eat on his own. So.
Oh, man.
It'll come around eventually.
How many in total came out of the egg?
Well, I had 13 eggs, and one was one pipped and just never crawled out of the egg. The head was out, but it ended up perishing before it even crawled out of the egg. So I ended up with 12 babies out of this clutch, and which I was kind of impressed because I tend to keep my chondros pretty small. My breeder female, I'd be surprised if she was much over 700 grams, but she was 6 years old when I started breeding her, really. So
well, I'm a firm believer that age plays a much bigger factor into breeding than size does.
Yeah. Well, you know, when you listen to like Daniel Natouche and him talking about what he's seeing out there in Australia and New Guinea and stuff is, you know, the chondros are not these, you know, 1,200 gram, you know, 1,000 gram plus huge monsters that we often see in captivity, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Which, yeah, so I definitely try. I'm pretty lax on my feeding. You know, I feed enough, but not over.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of keep it irregular. I kind of do it when I get around to it. And so, you're gonna show me you're hungry, then yeah, maybe I'll feed you next week.
Yeah, but the issue is like I'll feed I have a juvie Biak type, and I will literally feed it, and it will finish that, and it will go back to the perch, and it will start luring again.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, dude.
Oh, if you listen to them, you'd have to feed them every day.
Yeah.
You know, because mine are the same way. I walk in the room, and all I see is like 6 tails wagging at me. You know, come here. Where's the rat? You know. Yeah, they're kind of funny like that.
Right on. And I actually saw some pictures. Are you keeping your babies on sphagnum moss?
I was. I actually have them on just aspen right now, and so far it's been working really great. But yeah, when they first hatched, I was kind of keeping them on damp sphagnum. It just kind of made it easy to, you know, A, keep the humidity up, and B, kind of spot clean a little bit. Because you know how little chondros are, they make their little messes. But yeah, I didn't really. After the sphagnum kind of keeps too much moisture for my setup. So like I said, I run a whole room humidifier, so my room's stays fairly humid as is, like in the 50-60% range probably closer to 60 most of the time. So with the damp sphagnum, it was kind of I was getting too much moisture in there for my liking, so I just took it back to regular aspen, and yeah, so far I've been loving that. Of course, I keep all my Neos, you know, they're in a little 6-quart hatchling rack, and I've got the David Brum's, you know, printed 3D perches with elevated water bowl holders to keep it all up. And man, I love those things.
I do too. I got a big old box of perches for my hatchling rack today that I put together. He does awesome stuff. I'm anxious to try some of these tub conversion kits he does too.
Yeah, those are really neat. I'm definitely eyeballing those as well. But I really like the looks of those Cambro racks. You know, for once they graduate out of the 6 quarts, and I'm thinking about getting a couple of those built to put in the room. But we'll see.
Yeah, I have one of those, and those tubs are awesome. They're indestructible. They're pretty great.
Yeah. They're like fiberglass without being fiberglass.
Yeah, I think it's a polyurethane, which is like what they make like skateboard wheels out of and stuff nowadays. So it's pretty durable.
Yeah, well, you know, I know they're made to be in kitchens, you know, and stuff like that, which, yeah, they get a lot of abuse, so they have to be pretty strong, survive restaurant quality, you know. But I just like that they're so clear, you know. It's nice. You don't get that hazy look like you would with a regular, you know, Sterilite or Iris tub, or, you know.
Yep, you can see right in there. It's perfect.
Yeah, when we were at Southeast Carpet Fest, the Bartolinis, they had some of their chondros in those Cambro, in a Cambro rack, but they had like LED light strips. How did they have them? I want to say they went up either the sides or they went up the middle, and that lit them up perfectly. And it's nice because those, you know, being LEDs, they don't throw off any heat.
Right.
But they kept it really well lit, and they looked really sharp.
Yeah, I saw some of the pictures, you know, everybody posted from Southeast Carpet Fest, and yeah, they look like they have an amazing collection.
They've got some really cool stuff.
Yeah, I really wished I could have made it out there, but it just didn't work. My schedule's been so crazy lately, so I don't have much time to get out and do anything fun.
Are you planning to go to Daytona this year or anything?
It's still, I'm undetermined. I'd love to make it out there. I've never been to the Daytona show or even Tinley. I'd really kind of rather go to Tinley, I think, see that one. But if I was going to make a trip, it'd probably be narrowed down to Tinley. But we'll see. I'd like to make it out there to Daytona just because I hear it's a fun show, you know.
Well, I'm planning to go this year, and Jake says he's going to Tinley in October, but we'll see. I don't know if I'll be able to. The thing is, he has 3-day weekends, like every week. He works Monday through Thursday, and so he has 3 days every week to go do whatever he does, and I don't have that luxury. And so he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm going to Northeast Carpet Fest. I'm going to Tinley, and like I'm going to do all this other stuff." I'm like, "It must be nice."
Right? Awesome. Yeah. Absolutely. So where are you at, Luke? What part of the country are you in?
Right now I'm home in Southern California visiting because I'm on spring break. But currently I'm out in Lake Davis, which is near Sacramento. And I think 6 hours north wouldn't make that big of a difference, but it's kind of insane how different it is out there compared to Southern California. So
yeah,
rains a lot more, which is cool, but it does get pretty cold. It doesn't get like freezing out here.
Mm-hmm.
It's been getting cold, so I've been running the heater a lot more. And yeah, I definitely had to bump up my humidity where that was not an issue at all before. Mm-hmm. So that's actually why I was interested in the sphagnum moths, because my babies, I definitely, while they were down here, I didn't have to spray, but I have to spray up there like on a regular basis because it gets a little drier.
That's strange, because you would think it would be the opposite.
Yeah, well, it rains, but again, it gets colder, so I'm just running the heater inside all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And that just sucks the humidity out. It was getting down to like 15%, where, I was a little closer to the ocean in Southern California, so it was a lot better. But it's all good. It's working out.
Yeah. Yeah, the sphagnum may work great for you in your situation where it's like that. Like I said, in my setup, it was just a little bit too much humidity, and it was really good at holding that humidity in those tubs. But it was just mine. My tubs would be like solid condensation on the walls, and it's like you could wipe it down and close them, and 15 minutes later it'd be all condensed again, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's much.
Yeah, I could see that. Oh man. And I was actually going to ask too, do you have any plans coming up, or you ever think you're going to try that tiger stripe male?
He's my my kind of prized male right now.
Oh,
so I think he's probably next in line for any female that's available. So because I am in love with that tiger stripe project. All the animals from that are just ridiculous, and that baby that I ended up buying, I bought it from Randall Pearson. And it was his holdback. I bought that off him when he got out of the chondros back then, and it was the darkest baby out of that clutch, and dark red, maroon baby, and he's just been ridiculous since day one. And kind of instead of a lot of his clutch mates turn solid yellow. They're mostly yellow, the traditional tiger stripe, but this guy just decided to go a lot of blue. So there's blue line mixed in that, that bloodline. And, so he's nice, but he's got those really just neon yellow diamonds that are, the tiger stripe. And he's got all kinds of, blue, and he's got a nice balance of green and yellow, towards the front, but he's definitely not one of the high yellows, but I know he's got a lot of potential to produce some crazy stuff. So yeah, I'm really excited for him to come up and, get a litter from him, a clutch.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Every time he posts a picture, I drool over that one. I'm like, oh my God, those diamonds.
Yeah, he's kind of quite the fan favorite. I think I've got like 3 different Facebook groups right now that are all using his, photos as the cover photo for those groups. you know, right now. So at various stages throughout his life. So he's I always get a lot of comments and likes when I post his stuff.
Oh man. Hopefully he gets the job done. Fingers crossed for you.
Yeah. I you know, I always hear those stories about those chondros that just don't breed, and I have another it's a, you know, a royal python project, really high end male, and he's like 5 years old now, and he just will not breed anything. So I hope that this guy just does not turn out to be like this other guy. You know,
those seem to me are kind of that seems a lot like the mouser jungle carpets, where everyone's like so worried about their jungle carpet being a mouser, but it's actually not as common as people seem to think it is. Like overnight, they're gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to I have that other female that I want to breed later this year, chondro-wise, and I was originally thinking about trying to hunt down another male to put with her that isn't a Biak type, but given the male that I just used for this clutch that I have cooking right now, he did such a good job, wasting no time with her, that I'm thinking I'm just going to use him again.
Yeah, actually, it's funny because now I'll have 2 males. Well, I'll have a total of 3 males and 2 females, and I was thinking about getting rid of the male that sired my clutch, but at the same time, I'm like, man, you just never know. Maybe I should keep him around because he got the job done, and I don't know. Can't hurt to have a backup male.
Well, it's, you know, I've brought that up, you know, in talking with a lot of the chondro guys here in Texas. You know, we get together, and I've talked with several of them about, you know, my situation where I'm 5-to-1 ratio right now when it comes to male to female, and all of them are like, don't get rid of any of your males. You know, you got Matthew Morris and, you know, Bill Stiegel all saying, don't get rid of your males. You know, you'll get the ones that just don't want to breed, or, you know, they don't want to do it this year, or it's like, you know, I'm like, just hold on to them.
I'd rather have them and not need them than need them and not have them.
Exactly. Exactly. So I have done just that, and, you know, we'll see. Hopefully we'll get a lot of females in this clutch that I'm holding back, so I can raise up some stuff and put stuff to them and go from there. Balance out the collection a little bit.
Luke, did you decide to get rid of that? Or did you are you keeping that male that sired the clutch of the babies that I have from you?
Yeah, I still have them right now. So yeah, once the Timor's sold, I kind of just like, I'm gonna keep him. So he's sticking around here for now.
So are you getting into Timors, or are you getting out of Timors?
I had to sell them. Right now I'm in college, and I just live in an apartment, and they are just growing fast. And I'm like, oh man, I need like new cages for them, and so, and they're definitely a lot dirtier than the chondros.
They're a fascinating looking snake, man. They're so cool looking. But yeah, hearing like Owen talk about them and how they want to. I don't have time for animals that want to, you know, sling piss and crap on you and do all that sort of stuff. It's like, yeah, I don't have time for that kind of stuff. So
yeah, no, the male's captive bred, and he's great. Doesn't do it super calm, but the female, I got her as an import, and I mean, she was still tiny, but if I touch her with I can only take her out on the hook, and if I touch her with my hand, she's just gonna spray everywhere. Oh, it's bad. And I'll clean the cage, and as I'm putting her back in, instantly just pisses all over it. So you're like, God damn it. But I mean, they're cool, and what's cool about them too, at least mine right now, because they're around a year, and they're still so arboreal, and they sit on the purchase from David's Brahms, just like a chondro, and you're like, God damn, this is a pretty badass snake.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very cool looking, and it's tempting. There's a lot of things that are tempting, but, you know, I even like some of the, you know, weird colubrid stuff, but it's like, you know, God, I just don't have time to clean that much, or
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I'm a bit of a neat freak when it comes to my collection, so I do try to keep things really clean. And that would just eat me alive. Some of those species, it's like, yeah, no, I can't do it. Maybe if I'm just doing this full time, but I'm not there yet.
Yeah, I was the same way. I think the only colubrid I ever kept. I worked with some colubrids, but I kept a Barron's Racer at home for a little bit. And that thing, I would feed it on Monday, and the cage would be covered in shit on Wednesday. And compared to the green
Oh
trees,
man, it took yours that long to trash it?
Oh my God, yeah, it was. That metabolism on that snake was crazy, and it could just. It was cool, but I just did not have time. I don't have time for that right now in my life.
That's how my Baird's rats are, man. All my colubrids do. They trash everything. Give them brand new paper towel, and the next day they're gonna flip their water bowl, or shit everywhere, or both.
Yeah.
They're destructive.
Oh man.
So how about you, Luke? What kind of projects you got coming up this year?
I'm gonna try. My male I got one of my males. He's gonna almost be 3, like this November. So he'll be like 2 in 2 years and like 10 months or something, or 9 months. So I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna see if he'll go with that female. And he's a little young. If nothing happens, nothing happens. But if it works out, it'll be really cool. So we'll see about that. But
which female is that?
That's about it.
Which female are you putting them with?
The same female from your kids.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, I gave her the year off, and I was really nervous about after she laid. I mean, I just thought I'm gonna feed her really lightly and just slowly put the weight back onto her, and she definitely. I was feeding her maybe once every 3 weeks, sometimes once a month, and she still was looking a little thin. And then I'd say maybe about 2 months ago, I mean, she looks ready to go. Like she looks even better than she did before she laid her clutch. I mean, she's bigger now, and I think she's definitely ready again. So we'll just see if that young male can do it. Because at first I was kind of on the fence with it, and is it Rod? I love. He does Amora Arboreals, right?
I don't know.
I think you're right.
Yeah, because I know his name on Facebook is different than Instagram. But he sent me some videos of one of his males who was a 2016 getting some stuff done the other day. And I was like, all right, well, he's doing it. I'm going to give my male a shot this year too. So
right.
We'll see if it works.
Yeah. Males, typically can get it done a lot earlier than the females. So, I wish you good luck, and love to see what comes out of it.
Yeah, my female's already bounced back pretty well. Like my female put weight back on real quick.
Yeah, I mean, like I said with mine, my Cyclops female, she laid that clutch in November of 2018, or that's when they hatched, was November. So she laid that clutch September-ish?
Yeah, September somewhere.
And she's already back up to looking like she did before she was gravid. So we'll see what happens.
Right on. And I actually wanted to ask, because this is something that I started doing like maybe about a week ago, because I was using, I think I've talked to you about it, Justin, I have El Jefe, and I had to use a rain chamber with her, or she would not go. But the other day, like about a week ago, I sprayed her directly before lights went out, which I know some people think is a big no-no.
Yep.
And she went in the cage. She's fine the next day. So
do
you guys spray at all? Spray directly, or?
I missed the cage if they're in blue, but that's really it. And I'll just spray the paper towels, and I may hit them just a little bit, but not a whole lot. Other than that, I don't really miss much, or not regularly by any means. Like I said, I do run a whole room humidifier in my well insulated room, so it stays in that kind of 60% humidity range most of the time. So I don't really have too many problems now. She's kind of a typical female. She will hold it, and I've played with the idea of doing but I've never had a problem with her. Like, she will defecate regularly. And especially like with her, like if I get her out of the cage and just, let her exercise a little bit, she almost always will defecate later that evening. And as far as my adults, all of my chondros, with the exception of one, are really, tolerable to handling.
Right on.
Yeah, and I have one female that she retains it the most out of all of them, and so I'll do the same thing that you did, Luke, where I'll hose down the enclosure, and usually by morning there's something there waiting for me.
Yeah, it was weird because hosing it down would not work with her, but I said, hey, I'm going to spray her directly in the tub and leave her overnight, and it worked like a charm. It was kind of crazy, and she went right over. That was the first time she's gone in there in like at least 6 months. So. Oh
wow! Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, and got me rethinking everything nowadays. I don't know what to do anymore.
No one does.
You're like, oh shit.
Well, it's good that guys are, starting to experiment and do more stuff. I definitely like the idea of the rain chamber, and it makes sense. You think about them in the wild where they're, probably staying in the same tree for quite a while. It would make sense, as like a scent, to disguise the scent, so they're not just laying leaving a trail of feces right to where they are if they wait for a good rain and have it wash down at the same time. It makes perfect sense in my mind, that they wait for that rain shower to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a good idea. Mine is nowhere near as bad as like holding on to it for 6 months. She might go 2 months, before she does, and she'll lay a nice size surprise for me.
Yeah, Luke, I think yours is the only one that does that, man, because none of mine hold it that long either.
It was like I could look at her and be like, I know you need to go, and like soaking them. But it's funny that you say you take them outside too, because one other big difference was when I was in Southern California, I was living at my at a house, so I could take them on the front lawn, and like you said, I'd give them. I'm telling you, I'd literally like taking a dog for a walk. I'd throw her in the grass and let her scooch around for 30, 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, that night she would usually go. But now I'm in an apartment, and I don't know about how my neighbors would feel about me.
Yeah.
My snakes walk around, so.
Right. I don't know that I'd want to be that guy at the apartment complex.
Right. Yeah, so yeah, you got to switch it up sometimes.
Right. Yeah, I'm fortunate. I'm way out in the middle of nowhere. I'm on like 40 acres. So I just take animals outside and let them crawl on, one of my fence rows out there. And they'll sit there and climb on those things and use it like a jungle gym. And I'll let them, crawl around and explore for, whatever, half an hour in the shade and take them back in sometimes. And, usually I'm out there, photographing them while they do it because just chondros and outdoor natural light. You can't beat that when it comes to photographing.
It's the best.
Absolutely.
Have you thought about doing maternal incubation with any of yours, Jason?
Not with chondros. I did it this past year with Royals, but and it's a neat experience. But and I may do it again with some other stuff just to experiment. And I can't rule out that I'd never do it with chondros, but that'll probably be the last species I do it with.
Not when you only have one female, huh?
Exactly.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, maybe
really
someday
rolling
when
the dice
I'm
on
jaded
that
enough, and jaded enough, and I got like 100 chondros or something, and can afford to lose a clutch or two. Then I might roll with it.
Now, what's your experience as far as with the Royals? What was your experience with it? Like, did you notice a major difference as far as hatch rate or like size of babies or anything like that?
Well, I mean, I have a very limited, scope of this because I've only done one clutch, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a pretty large clutch. She laid, I think, well, what did I get? I think I got 11 eggs out of her. Uh, and I had I think 3 of them died like during the process. And that's the one thing I didn't really care for was like, because, you're not getting in there to
Yeah,
remove
yeah.
eggs from an egg mass, not without kind of destroying the whole process. So
Mm-hmm.
you do get a little funk smell going on in the room, which
Oh, really?
when you've got that really insulated room, that kind of sucks. So I didn't really care for that, but other than that, all the other babies they hatched fine. They were, I would honestly say, a little smaller than the clutches that I artificially
Okay.
incubated as far as weight. Um, but I don't know if that was just kind of the project that I was
Mm-hmm.
working on versus um, an incubation thing. But it was really neat. It was a really cool experience to go in there and watch the female. And the female I used, she was a perfect mom. She kept nice tight coils, and but she did not want anything to do with food. Didn't really see her drink much, even though I would keep fresh water really close. And when I pulled her off, she looked like holy hell,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
which is just it's kind of hard to watch that. But she's bounced back, she's fine. Like I said, I kind of like the control of my incubator, though, being able to look at my sim tubs and be like, yeah, they're all fine. Pop open the lid and do that smell check every once in a while. Yep, they're still alive. Or no, this egg's not good. I can go ahead and throw it away. And be done with that one and not have to smell the funk
Mm-hmm.
for the next 60 days.
And
Yeah.
when you
Yeah, that's funny because
go ahead, Luke.
I was gonna say I feel like one of the big things that people always say why not to do maternal incubation is because if one bad egg goes bad, then it'll kill all the other eggs. But
I
if they
don't
go bad,
I don't believe that at all. I don't think it really affects it, when it comes to that. I think if an egg is going to die, it's going to die. And if it's going to live, it's going to live,
you're gonna go for it. Cool.
And with your incubation, do you do like the suspended, like over water? Do you use vermiculi? Like, how do you like to do that? Well, if you're using the same containers, obviously you're doing the suspension.
Yeah, I straight water mine. I don't put anything in there. I'm just pretty delicate if I move anything around.
Mm-hmm.
But and I just use straight water, and I'm one of those guys that I'm opening the lids, at least once a week to do air exchange. I don't use any holes in my tubs, and just I'd pour in like 16 ounces of spring water or whatnot, and let it ride from there. Open the lid once a week, just get that air exchange.
Mm-hmm.
Let any CO2 kind of drain off, and replace that with fresh air, and that's pretty much it. Set them and forget it. Keep the incubator. I've got one of those I got the biggest hot box incubator they make, and I just throw them in there. It's set to 87.5 main chamber temperature, and just pretty much forget about them. Other than that.
You like that hot box though? Jake was really wanting to get one at some point here soon for his stuff.
I absolutely love it. I mean, I've had several friends that have made refrigerator style coolers that it seems like their failure rate is so much higher than mine as far as my successful hatch rate. Now, I mean, PVC is not the most thermally compliant, material as far as keeping the heat. So, it does run a little bit, but I think it's, I don't know, it just seems to stay really stable as far as that. And there's always air moving through it. So I think it's exchanging the air in there really well. And yeah, I have a really high success rate, hatch rate with using that thing. And, I'm probably put 100 clutches through it so far. And
Nice.
it's rare that anything go bad, or I've never had any kind of like incubation failure, as far as that,
Luke, what did you use for yours?
Yeah, so I built my own incubator out of like an igloo.
Oh, okay.
I did like heat
cooler
tape
baiter
on the bottom,
Yep.
cooler baiter, and it was cool, great learning experience. But like he said, I lost 7 eggs because for whatever reason I was getting condensation on the egg crate itself, so I actually got the bottom of the eggs got wet.
Like
and
sucking it up, yeah.
Yeah, and I think I used maybe strong of computer fans in there because I went to what's it called, Fry's, picked up some computer fans, so. It was a cool experience. I learned a lot about incubators in the process of making one. But I think next go around I would definitely go with a C box because they're not even too much money too, which is the pretty cool part, right? You can get like a decent sized one for under $1,000, can't you?
Oh yeah. They're like 400 or 500 for the baseline model.
Yeah, I definitely was like, that was cool, but next time I think I'm just gonna buy one of those,
It'll pay for itself over and over again, probably the first year you use it. So it's well worth the investment, in my opinion. That's like the last piece. You bought all these expensive animals. You bought all the equipment to pair them. You've done everything, but, then you want to cheap out and put them in a $100 home-built incubator. And that blows my mind on sometimes,
I can't say shit because all of mine are in a home-built cooler incubator.
Well, I mean, they work. It's not that, but it's like I said, if you do enough volume in them, I think you'll see that you start to lose stuff, over the years. And
for sure. It was a cool experience. It was great. I learned a lot. I was like, I did it. Made my own incubator once. Let's buy one now.
Plus, they just look really nice too when you're there. Have that nice glass front. You can see what's going on. Flick the light on. Everything works,
Yeah, that's my thing is with the fan that I have in mind right now is, being exposed to that much moisture all the time. Like, how long is it going to take for this thing to bite the dust? But
so you're running the main chamber?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep, I got them in. Both my eggs and Jake's eggs are in 6-quart shoe boxes. On like the way Harlan does it with the pontoons and the light diffuser over water. But the eggs are sitting on top of that light diffuser in a separate like deli cup or Tupperware kind of thing, like one of the shallow Tupperware like Gladware containers. And then under those, there's a craft mesh that keeps the eggs from touching the bottom of that Tupperware in case there is any condensation. And then there's press and seal over the top of that. And then the lid. Nice. So it's like 20 layers.
I was about to say, I think I need to see a picture of that one.
Yeah, it's hard to explain. But it's working really well so far. I ended up adding another, deli cup of, the water gel stuff to kind of bump up humidity a little bit because the eggs, to me, seemed a little on the drier side. And that seemed to help him out a bit, but so far I had one that I thought wasn't going to make it, but it actually bounced back. Like, it had one of those the window kind of forming on it that completely cleared up. And Jake's eggs are doing fine. He has one that's bad out of the 9, so he has 8 that should be hatching here any day now.
Nice. Yeah, so you fix the window with glue?
No, I didn't have to do anything to it. It did it on its own.
Oh. Huh. Man, you got the magic touch, I guess.
I guess so.
Yeah.
But that incubator's been working fine. I have a probe in the box that's sitting on the eggs that tells me, those are right at 87.5.
Oh, you did the probe in the box?
Yeah, I have a probe in the box. Well, and then I have the thermostat probes hanging over the box.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then there's a separate indoor-outdoor thermometer that I have, a digital one, where that probe is actually in the box, telling me kind of what's going on. So it's working out pretty well so far.
That's good, man.
I would like
and
to.
yours is Biak to Biak, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool.
The male.
Nice to see, more and more people are starting to do, some more locality pairings.
Mm-hmm.
I see, a lot of people, trying to get that stuff because it's like, hearing Bill talk, it would be great to go, to shows and start seeing some entry level chondros. I mean, let's face it, it'd be nice to see chondros at a show, period, that aren't imported, but at the same point in time, it's hard, like in my situation, I don't know that I would take any of my, green trees to a show, because how much market are you, not a whole lot of people are there going to drop that kind of cash that you're going to want for a designer chondro baby at, a show. It'd be nice to have some of the, locality stuff that's just captive born and bred.
Right. And I can understand people like doing, the big shows throughout the year, like Tinley or Daytona, but to me, it's not worth it at all to do any like the smaller shows, like the Repticons and stuff. Just because unless it's something that's in your town, like if you live in Atlanta or you live in Columbia and there's a show going on, like sure, but I'm not going to travel from, South Florida to go do that because there's no way you make any money off that unless you're just selling, whatever you get your hands on.
It's hard to compete with a $250 imported Biak, especially in those circumstances where the people that are buying those don't know what the hell they're getting into, to begin with. And, it's hard to say somebody, well, you should really buy this, $600 U.S. captive born and bred Biak that, is going to be kind of problem free, and you're not going to have to go through all the extra expenses of treating it and that learning curve, especially for new keepers, that's I think a lot of people do really great with imports, but there's those extra steps you have to take, the deworming, the stools and collecting that stuff and treating parasites and just more acclimation and I don't know.
Like I've said before, with an import, you end up spending, after vet bills and everything, you end up spending the same amount you would have spent on that captive bred baby anyways.
And you're not going to get any kind of support from the person you bought it from unless you buy from, the what, 2 or 3 reputable importers. There's only a handful of those that I would even consider, buying from.
For sure. So, I'm pretty lucky because I live by the Pomona show, and the snake keeper, she'll bring out some of her chondros to every show. You're like, oh man, those are pretty cool. They have some pretty nice stuff. But I get a little lucky with that.
Yeah. Well, it's nice. I will say, like the last big show, Bill Stiegel, he vended and he brought out a bunch of chondros, and it was nice to see. And every once in a while, like I'll see Ken Deal or, one of those guys vending, and they'll have nice captive born and bred, stuff. And it's nice. We've got such a great reptile community here in Texas. A lot of great keepers here. So it's nice when you kind of see them, starting to do shows, and at least the bigger, better shows. We've got the NARBC here, and Repticon's like a dirty word here in Texas. As far as shows go, we just you don't want to go there. That's like might as well burn your clothes when you leave, and no, there. I wouldn't be caught dead in one. I won't even go there to pick up feeders. No,
it's really unfortunate because I feel like it would only take them a little bit of effort to really make those something. Like the Columbia show is like 2.5 hours from me, and that one's not bad. But all the other ones I've heard, like there's one in Charleston that's small, and I don't even bother going to that one anymore because I don't know. It's the issue is like it's just like a traveling circus in a sense. Like you have all the same vendors at every single show, so it's like if those same people were just at Columbia, why do I need to go to Charleston when it's just the same group?
Right.
And I mean, it's a fun way to kill an afternoon, but other than that, it's really like if I have nothing going on, like I'm bored, I'll go to the Charleston show, but I don't really go out of my way to go to it.
Right. Yeah, we've got another series of shows here that's another really good one, and that's the Herps shows that Sean Gray puts on, and he does, they do a really good job with those shows. So those are nice shows here, but yeah, that other one no. I have nightmares about those shows.
Oh man.
So given your collection as far as chondros go, do you prefer designers over localities, I'm assuming?
Well, that's kind of just, I like both, and I'd actually like to add a couple of locality pairings for the same kind of reasons, to have some more entry level stuff. But I just haven't pulled the trigger on something. I kind of want to, I don't know, to find one of those localities that not everybody has, just to have something different, but haven't really, gotten to that point yet. As of now, most of my collection is mostly designer stuff, so I'm just kind of going that route, and someday that'll fund having some, locality pairings when the right pair pops up or something like that. Get into something.
Do you have a favorite locality?
I like the Meraki's or Merauke's, however the hell you say that. Love that, solid green with the white pinstripe. Those are really cool, and I definitely don't think enough people are working with those. So it's, I'd love to have a nice pair of those. But as far as a favorite, I don't know if I can narrow it down. They're all kind of cool. And definitely. How can you go wrong with a green tree python? Period.
An ugly one does not exist.
Exactly. I've never seen an ugly one.
Right on. Yeah, I'm itching for Biaks. I want some Biaks. Last year was the year of the Biak for me. I'm like, oh man, I need to get some.
Yeah, I'd like to have a nice Biak as well.
Talk to me in a few months.
I probably will be.
Because currently, originally, I was like, I'm gonna hold on to all of them for a year, and then decide what stays and what goes. But now I'm kind of thinking I'll keep half and sell half. Because if I end up having 100% hatch, if all of these hatch, that's gonna be 17 babies.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, I can probably send a few off and be okay.
Yeah, you could part with a few. Still be all right. I'm so ready for, I talk to Ben Morrill over there at Rare Genetics all the time. We're so
all
waiting
itching,
with
man.
bated breath for him to announce that Python sex determination test, because it's, oh Lord, that's going to change the game, right there. It's just,
I mean, he can do it now. You just have to have the sire shed and then the grandsire shed or something like that.
Yeah, he was telling me you have to either both the parental sheds, and then I think you got to have an offspring that the sex of. You got to have a known male from that pairing for them to be able to match it up. Then they could do it. But yeah, I'm just, I know he's close. I talk to him quite regularly, and I'm just, I'm chomping at the bit.
Yeah, we're all waiting for it.
I've got them all labeled, and they're in an envelope, and I'm just waiting for that, text message.
He's already got the postage on it. He's just waiting to throw it in the mailbox.
Pretty much. Yep. I got the FedEx label. I'll overnight those suckers to him,
That's awesome.
As I mean, if you think about it, not being able to know the sex of chondros early on is kind of the thing that that slows down the process a lot as far as what people are going to hold on to and what people sell.
Absolutely. I mean.
And so when the doors get busted open on that, I mean, it's going to be game on.
And just the fact that, like I said, I've bought and paid for 2 females that are absolutely not freaking females, and those were from reputable people that, it's not like not that they were trying to pull one over on me or nothing, they're animals, they're hard to, it's hard to manipulate and hard to probe, and I'm way too much of a chicken to even attempt probing, because I'm like, no. No, I'm not going to turn this female into a,
into a male.
Into a male, or, just, you never know, and I don't want no part of that, so,
And do you just don't
use the shed?
Do you not probe any of your stuff, like none of your balls or anything like that?
Yeah, those you can just pop right out of the egg, expose the hemipenes, and there's no need for it, You can tell right away, it's, of course you can't do that. Well, you can do it, but you'll pay for it later.
Yeah.
If you try that with chondros. But,
well, speaking of shedding plugs, my my subadult Biak that I've had for about 2 years now just gave me plugs last night for the first time. I've been waiting every shed I look, because I'm like, at some point these things are going to pop up if it's a male. And so last night it was like the official one, and that snake's about 2 years old or so, which is what I've been told is usually about when they start showing up. So
yeah.
So did you think it was going to be a male, or was that a surprise?
No, that was kind of a surprise, because like the past few sheds, I'm like, okay, this thing keeps looking more and more like it's going to be a female. And so I was like, cool, like whatever. I really don't care either way with any of my chondros. I don't care what the sex is. I'm going to keep it and I'm going to enjoy it. And if I end up getting a nice pair out of it or whatever, like that's cool. I'm not going to be like, well, I have 5 males, I have to sell 3 of them. I just whatever. I don't care what it is. I'm going to keep it regardless.
But yeah, that'd be nice. Being able to actually sell somebody a genetically verified pair, from a deal. I mean, how cool is that going to be? Like, or buy a genetically sexed pair.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
With the paperwork and everything, and you could buy it as a little bitty tiny neonate and get to watch the whole color change, and instead of having to wait till it's already like half changed.
Yeah. Well, just the fact that it's like completely non-invasive too. You don't have to probe, you don't have to try and pop, you don't have to worry about any of that. It's just completely sort of a hands-off, and it's more accurate anyways.
You don't even have to touch the snake.
Yeah.
Although I gotta say, sometimes when you get a unchanged Neo and watching that thing grow up and trying to figure out what it is also kind of sometimes a fun process, I think. So. It can be a little entertaining watching the behavior and trying to be like, oh, is it a male? Is it a female? And then,
yeah, I would definitely have to agree with that until you got a 5-to-1 ratio.
until shit hits the fan. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
So when you were breeding yours, Jason, did you cycle yours at all? Did you do it like temperature? Did you do it food? Did you do anything? Or did you just do like I did and just throw them together and wait for something to happen?
Yeah, like I really didn't do too much of like temperature cycling. I do a night drop pretty much every night. I just kind of turn it down to whatever my ambient is and let it run from there, overnight. But yeah, I didn't really increase that too much. It was more just, a little bit of food cycling, and then just pretty much pair them up, and watch their behavior. And like I said, when they were cuddled up and together, I'd leave them together, and when they split apart for a few days, then I'd pull them and give them, a couple weeks off, 3 weeks off, feed them, let them do their thing, defecate, whatever, and then, wait till a thunderstorm or something rolled through and put them back together,
It's so funny how that has such an effect on them like that. Like clockwork.
Yeah, with all species that I've worked with thus far is, anytime a good, barometric pressure change comes through, throw your animals together. It doesn't matter what time of year. If you've got a, sexually productive pair, you can kind of go from there, just throw them together, and I always see action,
Luke, what did you do for yours? Did you cycle yours?
I did a little bit. I kind of did all three. I didn't do anything. I've never done a light cycle just because, to me, right, they're on the equator, so there wouldn't be much of a light cycle. But, yeah, I just did. I started hitting them with food, and then I just lowered their night drop 4 more degrees. So they went down to 74 instead of like 78 at night.
Mm-hmm.
And, but yeah, I didn't know. I mean, we were in California. I mean, I was at the time in Southern California. I mean, we got no rain like all winter, you know? So rain wasn't even a thing. But yeah, again, now that I'm in Northern California, I might try, like you said, I might try very little stuff with temperature, and then just see if just pairing them when it rains works, you know? Kind of a little experiment, see how it goes.
When I was keeping mine together, man, it was like every time it rained, I'd check on him, and sure enough, he's all over her. Like they wouldn't. We'd go, you know, a week or two without rain, and they'd be on opposite ends of the cage. But then that rain would roll in, man, and he was all over it.
Something about it. It does something to them.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you keeping your adults in right now, Jason?
All of mine are in PVC cages. They're in the 2x2 cubes.
Mm-hmm.
I've got some, 2x3s, but it's just, like I said, I keep my chondros smaller anyway, and I have not really felt the need to put them in the 2x3s yet. So right now, those 2x3s have some carpet pythons in them.
Cool.
And are those sharp horn cages?
Yeah.
Okay. Reptile Basics just rolled out their two cube, and I'm really anxious to try it. I haven't talked to anybody that's bought one yet. I can't imagine it would be much different than sharp horns, obviously. But my thing is like I like Reptile Basics, the one they're cranking out, because I can put the perches wherever I want.
Okay.
You know, that's not really something you can do with the sharp horn cages necessarily, unless you just want a random upside down T, in the cage, which is purely aesthetics, but.
That's exactly what I have. I just have little tees that I don't even use in mine.
Would you do you get some Brahms perch holders or something?
At the time, I went to Home Depot, and then I used the natural wood perches from a parrot store locally,
mm-hmm.
and then I just got some things from Home Depot that hold them up.
Gotcha.
And then the tees are just sitting there. But I haven't set mine up yet. With the 2x2 cubes, do you have the hinge doors or the sliding doors?
I have hinged.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just ordered some of those, and I've only had the sliding door, so I'm kind of excited to try the hinge door.
Yeah, I for the 2x2s, I looked at some of those that have the sliding doors, and it's just not big enough, really for that. It's kind of makes cleaning a pain in the butt. But I like the big swing doors on the 2x2s. You can open it wide up, and it's really easy to get your chondro, and I love the removable perches, so just pull the whole perch out if I need to get in there and really deep clean or anything. But that's one of the things that makes chondro so great is most of the time you don't even have to bother them. You can go in there and as soon as they realize you're not feeding them, you can tear their whole cage apart underneath them, and they just kind of look at you.
And was the female, did she breed and lay in that 2x2?
Yep.
Sweet. Cool.
I did the method that I think Gary Schiavino kind of put out there with just I lined the whole bottom of that 2x2 in sphagnum moss, got one of those big log half hides, and as she got close to it, I removed all but the lowest perch, and then when she grounded herself, I just pulled that perch and left her in there. She laid right under that hollow log and in the sphagnum moss, so kind of worked out perfect.
See, that sounded nice, because I was like, man, I should do that with my female, but then I realized my female Biak that laid is gigantic, and she wouldn't fit. She'd be like, that half log would be sitting on top of her like a hat.
Yeah, you'd have to get, even with the log I got, she was kind of tight up in there, it was a tight fit, but I definitely don't think you're going to do that to a 1,200 gram Biak or something like that,
My buddy Billy Hunt at Uwabami Reptiles, he has these, they're like these little rugged totes. I don't even know how big they are. They're probably maybe 5 quarts, and they're like the perfect size because I used a bucket, like a 2-gallon bucket, like Harlan did. And I with the cage that she's in now, there wasn't much clearance between the top of that bucket and the ceiling. So like if I had to lift it up, it was a real pain to check on her and stuff without completely disturbing her. And so next time I'm gonna get my hands on some of those totes. I'll have to find a picture and send it to you. But he just he cut a hole in the top of that, and that's what some of his bigger carpets lay in. And it's like the perfect size. So I need to try that out.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think the next one I'll try to find a better, better lay cover than I don't necessarily like those half wooden logs, but it works, so I can't really complain about it.
And was this clutch your first time breeding chondros?
Yes.
Okay. So then you're in the same boat as me, because like everyone's like, I'm keeping my pool of people I've been picking their brains about with all this pretty small for that way I'm not getting 12 different opinions on 12 different ways to do the same thing. And that's kind of been like the most frustrating thing is, everyone does it differently, and until you do it yourself and kind of figure out what works best for you, it's
that's with everything.
Yeah,
you can listen to everybody and take input from everybody, but until you do it in your own situation and find your own way, you really don't know. You're just kind of, what
which
do
is
I do?
fine. But if you don't know, what your way is, then that doesn't. It makes it even more frustrating because they're like, "Oh, you'll figure it out," and I'm like, "Well."
Yeah, no, and it's just more and more every week. I mean, especially with raising up a clutch. I mean, they really are all little individuals, and every single one of that clutch I had its own little quirks and. I don't know. Sometimes you just got to do different things with different animals, which makes it even more confusing, So.
Yeah, they'll keep you on your toes. That's for sure when it comes to that, So.
I got to get more of those feeding cards printed out that I got from you, Luke.
Yeah, they're great. They're pretty awesome.
I love those things, man. I use the hell out of them.
Yeah, it's cool because you really get to see. I used to have like a notebook where I just write everything I did for that day, but with those cards, you really get to keep track of what an individual animal is doing, which is great.
Yeah, see, I use Reptile Scan. I've got so many animals that I use that, and I've got the little QR codes and the app on my phone, and I just scan scan it. Bam, it's in there. It's all uploaded into the internet, and I've got records for everything, all that stuff. And I love that.
Yeah, I was using Track My Reptile, and I was actually like helping them with that. Like I was helping that company with some of their stuff as far as social media goes and whatnot. But I found over time, like I don't know. I prefer just old school pen and cards. I don't know. It just maybe it's just a having to wait for everything to load in and like doing all the other stuff and scrolling through options and stuff. I just want to write down, what I write down and kind of leave it be. But I'd imagine if you have a bigger collection like you do, that having that would be easier.
Oh yeah, it makes it really nice. Now I'm not gonna lie. When I first started setting up that program, that was like 2-3 days of solid just data input, to get everything built in there. And of course, I'm nerdy about it, so I've got pics of everything and pics of the parents and lineage information built into it, so I have all of that stuff and can just pop it out. But now that I have that, it makes it so easy to go in there and manage my collection, like even clutches and stuff like that. I can put all of the breeding stuff, when I introduced them, when I saw them locked, when they ovulated, how many eggs, and then you can convert those eggs into, babies, and they populate. It's got all the lineage information and all the pairing information, and you can print that stuff right out and hand your clients a information packet with pictures of the parents and lineage. It's really wonderful.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That was the nice thing about Track My Reptile is if someone else had that app, you could actually just send that whole file to them over the app.
Yeah, you can do the same thing. History. It's kind of similar. You can export it and send it to them if they've got it, and they can just import all that data right in to their account, and bam, it's there, you know.
I don't know, y'all. We're coming up on an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And went by quick.
It always does.
How often are you feeding your babies right now? If you don't mind me asking.
By every 7-ish days or so.
Every 7-ish days? Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was feeding mine around 7 at the beginning, and I don't know, they just looked a little small because they're coming close to a year, and I've been hitting them every 5 days, and they've been growing a little faster. So I don't know. I don't even know how I feel about that anymore. I feel like I'm changing my mind every other day. It's crazy.
Yeah, I usually only get, 1 or 2 days a week that I can really do feedings.
Mm-hmm.
So it usually kind of coincides with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I've got my hands in a lot of different, irons in a lot of different fires at the moment. So I kind of bounce around a good bit. Just do things when I have time. And I just feed them, a little bit bigger meal than, I don't know, chondros eat pretty small meals to begin with, but I try to give them a little bit of a bump, when they're done.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, like I said, I keep my stuff on the smaller side anyway, so it doesn't bother me too much.
Right on. And you have a few carpets, right?
I do. I have a few projects. I've got some Darwins. I've got Rockhampton Coastals.
Ooh.
I've got one mutt, like a IJ Jungle Jag cross, and then I also have a pair of Brettles.
Yeah.
So have you ever been in the snake room late at night and just thought for a second maybe I'll throw a chondro in with one of the carpets?
With that Jungle Jag, when I first had that, before I knew what the sex of that Jungle Jag was, I had thought about it because, here I'm good friends with Tony Jerome, and I see some of his carpondros, and it'll make you think about it, even if you don't like them, when you go look at his collection and see those things in person, how cool they really are. But yeah, no, he's fortunately the only carpet that I would even think about that with is a male, and I'm just not doing that to one of my female chondros.
No way. That's funny. Another male.
I've got that stonewashed male Brettles now. Can do Bredondros.
Oh. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily hate on hybrids. It's not something I'm real keen on doing in my collection, but like I said, I'm friends with Bill Stiegel and Tony Jerome, and they've done carpondros and hybrids, and you go see them in person, and they're pretty damn cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at with them. I wouldn't do them personally, but I mean, I can appreciate them for what they are. Like, they do look cool, but other than that, I'm like, yeah, okay, I wouldn't do it, but whatever. To each their own. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Right.
Like most of the rest of my carpet projects are, they're pretty. I wouldn't even think about it because, like I've got my Darwins are like heavily striped. So like it's like a striped albino Darwin pairing, that I'm kind of trying to work on. And then, the Rockhampton locality coastals, it's just, those are still relatively rare, so I wouldn't want to mix that with anything, just kind of keep that pure, and they're just cool animals,
I want to get
that way, and
I want to get my hands on some inlands really bad.
Yeah, they're high on my list too. I'm kind of waiting, my buddy Austin Warwick up here, he's got inlands, and I think his are getting close to breeding age, and yeah, I'd sure like to get into those a little bit myself.
Inlands and rough scales.
There's a lot you could do with them,
Me and Jake are
blue and red.
Yeah, me and Jake are really wanting some rough scales at some point.
Oh my God, yes, so cool.
They're really neat. Like, have you guys ever like put your hands on them, seen them in person?
Nope.
I
No.
I I saw one at the zoo a few months ago, and even just not even putting my hands on it, but seeing it at the zoo and like seeing those blue. I mean, this one had blue eyes, and like it was crazy. It was so cool. I was like, oh my God, I need one.
Yeah, single-handedly the best eyeballs. Adult coloration. Those things are just crazy. Like
Oh,
Bill's got a trio of them, and I've been over it, and they just feel so neat when you let them crawl through your hands, and
Mm-hmm.
you got,
mhm.
they're very cool for sure.
The real question is though, do they perch?
Bill said they didn't.
Um,
Bill said his
not
don't.
not in the not like a chondro. Yeah,
Oh, I don't
the
know
ones
anymore.
that they're more carpet like in that they'll kind of drape over something like if
Mm-hmm.
they would seem to prefer a shelf or
Yeah,
something like
that's
that.
what
Some
Bill said
wide that they
last
can
week.
support. They,
Mhm.
Is his will
at
use the
least
hell
that's
out of
what
a
I've
shelf.
seen. Yeah, but yeah, I've never seen one in that perfect chondro
Coil.
perch like there's very few animals that just
Mhm.
take on that pose.
Who'd you get your Brettles from?
Steven Katz.
Oh, okay.
Oh, cool.
He makes some nice ones.
Yeah, I've got a really nice. My mail is really nice. Riley Jemison. He always posts that black glass photo of his. I got one out of. I'm pretty sure it was the same pairing, and my mail's not too far off from what his looks like. His may be a little bit better than mine, but yeah, he's pretty nice. Kind of light, almost hypo-ish coloration.
Yeah. The ones that
look.
Steven cranks out, man, they're something different. Because we just got this stonewash and this het stonewash, and we sold a normal pair. Like I sold. Jake is selling his female from Cots, and then I got a little male who's like a 2017 or 2018. So we sold that pair, and we were kind of bummed to see that female go because she is really nice. She's an asshole, but she's pretty.
Yeah, both of my Brettles, they're assholes.
Oh,
I did not have that, joyous. Oh, they're so cool and mellow.
That's weird. That must be a Cots thing too, because like Jake's came from Cots, yours came from Cots. Riley's are pretty mellow from what he's told me. All of mine are super chill. Like I don't have to worry about mine at all. I can go in there and grab them. Then I had my big male out this morning. I was taking pictures of him outside because he shed last night. Mine are all super chill. They're some of the most mellow snakes I have.
Yeah, my female. She's shady. I do not trust her one bit. You put anything within range of her face, and yeah, she might let you have it. She's got me on more than one occasion.
How big are yours?
Oh, they're getting some size on them. They're probably in the.
Well, what year are they?
Range.
Is probably a better way to gauge.
Yeah. When did I get those? I think they were 2015, so they're like 4.5 years, somewhere in there.
Nice. Gonna give them a go this year?
No, I hadn't really messed with them. I'm at that point where I'm getting ready to move them into a new cage, and I was gonna let them acclimate to the new cage, and then kind of start working that project a little harder.
They take a little longer to get to go.
Right. Yeah. That kind of stuff I don't rush. I like my Morelia females to be in that 5-year range before I really start messing with them. So that's kind of where I'm at. Most of my carpet stuff, I'm still growing out, and I think the next pairing I'll do would be those striped Darwins. That one should be hopefully my first carpet clutch coming up. I'd like to throw those together this upcoming season. See what happens with that.
I keep telling Luke to get on the Brettles, man. He's missing out.
I want to. And I've seen some photos, because, see, I haven't seen I don't know too much. I know they're indestructible, which is cool. But I've seen some photos of some adults that have, like, a black tail.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, that is what I want. Like, the red is cool, but when they kind of have that tail that fades into that black, oh, that does it for me. So,
yeah. My female is like that. She is really, really dark. The back half of her is almost black. You know, she's got a real kind of real dark brick red up in the, you know, first third of her body. But yeah, she starts getting pretty dark towards the tail, and yeah, I kind of like that look too.
I love it. Is there anyone who kind of like focuses on that, or, you know, or is everyone just going for red?
Off the top of my head, I don't know that there is anybody really focused on the black. I know that's something that I want to focus on at some point, depending on what I have, you know, when the time comes. Because my female has a lot of that. Like, each shed, it seems like that black is creeping higher and higher up the body. And then the big male I have, he's pretty dark towards the back, you know, the last third. So I don't know. I mean, that is something I'd like to focus on. There was a couple of years ago at the Columbia Repticon, there was I don't know if it was a male or female. I want to say it was a male. It was smaller, but man, that thing, the entire snake was super dark. Like, I had never seen a Brettles that dark before. And they wanted like $175 for it or something. It was like stupid cheap. And I was really tempted to get it because it was like the only Brettles at the show. But I ended up passing on it because it also kind of looked sort of not in great shape. But man, that thing was so dark.
It haunts you to this day, huh?
Yeah.
Still think about it.
I don't really envy whoever bought it, but
yeah, some things are just better left, you know, better the way they are when it comes to that. If it's too good to be true, it can sometimes turn around and bite you. You know?
Very true. Very true.
I know, you know, especially with all the you know, stuff going around now, it's hard to want to bring in new animals into your collection, you know, without being really thorough. You know, have you guys done any like NIDO testing or any of that stuff for your collections, or?
I have not, but I need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ordered the test kits, but my girlfriend's been out of town, so I was kind of just waiting so she could so I'm not just by myself, you know, be an extra set of hands. So yeah, when next time she comes in town, I'm definitely gonna give that a try.
Yeah. Does she help you out with them and stuff, Luke? Does she appreciate them?
She's a mammal person, you know, so, but she actually works with she volunteers at there's like a monkey place, so she likes her monkeys. But if I like go out of town, she'll clean the cages. She thinks they're kind of weird. She thinks I'm weird because like they're in my bedroom, so I'll wake up in the morning and I just stare at them. She's like, they're not doing anything. And I'm like, they're so cool though. She's like, they're not even moving. And I'm like, I don't know.
That's what I do when I brush my teeth, man. I make sure I brush for, you know, the ADA, recommended amount of time. I just go and stand in the snake room and brush my teeth until I'm good to go.
Yeah, I know the feeling. It's one of those, you know, my snake building, you know, it's outside of my house. It's, you know, a couple hundred yards from my back porch, but I've got, you know, those internet, you know, cameras mounted in the middle of my snake room that's all remote control, and it's night vision and all that stuff. I can dial it in and I can look at all my chondros and carpet cages and that stuff, and I'll pull that up like while I'm watching TV with the family and stuff, and I'll just be sitting there watching the snakes crawl around on my little phone, you know.
Yeah, totally. That's awesome. I need to get one of those for when I go. So you use that a lot? You always check on them?
I do, yeah. It's nice. The one I've got, you know, it actually has like a temperature and humidity setting in it. So I can actually like log in and I can see like the temperature of my snake room and my the humidity. So it's got that little reading on it. Plus, like I said, it's night vision and the motion detection and all that stuff. So it's like a security system. You know, it sends pictures anytime anybody opens my snake room door. So, like, I get you know, if somebody was to try to break in, you know, smile, you're on camera, you know. all that sort of stuff. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Like I said, I'm in there at least a couple nights a week just watching them while they're doing their thing without me being in the room, because you can see them acting natural, without being there and disturbing the process. You can see what they're doing when you're not there. And it's nice.
It's for sure different, yeah, because right now they're all in my bedroom, and I turn on the lights that night, and they stop it, everything they're doing, and you're like, God damn it, sorry, guys.
You ever do that when they shed? Like they're in the middle of a shed, and you walk in and turn on the light, and they just stop? I've had some where I did that, and then they just gave up on the shed halfway through.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh my God, why did I do that? Because then I had to help them finish the rest of it, because it's like they forget that it's even happening.
Yeah. Well,
Son of a
bitch. They're not the brightest animals. If you distract them when they're in the middle of something like that, it's same with feeding. Sometimes it's like, I'll see that with the Neos. It's like, man, if you slam that door, slam that tub a little too hard or something like that, and you get their attention off eating the thing, sometimes they'll sit there and just hold it for like an hour. And you're like, oh, I wish you would freaking eat that, you little bastard.
That one I got from Luke right now, like it like falls asleep while it's wrapped around the fuzzy, and so I'll tap the tub and it'll like wake it back up and be like, oh yeah, that's right, I'm eating right now, and it'll like finish it. Every time it like wraps it for like 10 minutes and then it just stops. And I'm like, wake up, dude.
I still have two that do that. It takes like, and I won't leave or do anything until, you know what I mean? Like I won't go out until they're done eating. And sometimes I'll be like, okay, I'm going to feed them really quickly. And then an hour and a half later, they're still just looking at it wrapped around, and you're like, come on.
I just let them do what they're going to do. If they're going to drop it, I heat it back up later that night, and I just offer it to them again, and then shut the lights off and go to bed. Yeah. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it, damn it.
Yeah, one of the nice things about that I'll say for my room is I keep a beer fridge in there for those exact reasons. You got those things on a feeding night when you're sitting there and they want to be stubborn like that. You keep that beer fridge close and you just sit there and drink till they eat.
Yeah, fuck yeah. You need to put some surround sound in there too.
Yeah, I got some Bluetooth speakers in there. I usually listen to podcasts while I'm in there.
Perfect.
Get it going.
Living the dream.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. We're at about an hour 45 now.
Oh, man, time flies by.
Yeah, it does.
Yes,
Luke, where can people find you?
Oh, I am just Luke Snakewalker on Instagram. And actually I'm almost hardly ever on Facebook now, except every few days. So you can send me a message on there, just Luke Myers, but mainly on Instagram now.
It's better anyways.
Oh yeah. No, I feel like a child, but I put what's it called? A parental lock on my phone, so I actually blocked the Facebook website. So I could only go on it at a computer, so I don't waste like half my day on there.
Yep.
So but it's been working out pretty well. I've been getting a lot more things done, which is good.
And Jason, where can people find you?
I'm on Facebook and Instagram. You can find me. It's Facebook, Brumley Reptiles. Same thing with Instagram. Same thing. You can send me a friend request. I'm Jason Brumley. I'll usually reply to whatever. Now, when I'm at work, I don't carry my phone with me. So, if I don't get back to you right away, don't think I'm ignoring you. Just give me a little time. I'll get back with you. But yeah, I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. And you got questions or need anything, I'm always try to be available and help when I can. And so
cool.
Reach out to me.
Well, this experimental episode with multiple remote guests worked out pretty well. So I appreciate y'all taking the time to do this.
Right on, man. Always, it was a good time. Nice talking to you. I don't think we've ever talked before, Jason, but it was nice talking to you.
Yeah, you too.
And good luck with those babies, man.
Yeah, you too with yours, and good luck with your upcoming season.
Right on. Hey, well, have a nice
night,
guys.
That's the cool thing with this is I can get other people on that haven't talked to each other that are in the chondro community, and it's like a little powwow.
Absolutely. And the more content we can get out there, the better. So I love what you guys are doing with the THP and, of course, the ChondroCast, because, man, I commute 2 hours a day pretty much to work. So I listen to podcasts all the time. And the more content we have, the happier my commute will be. So you guys keep up the good work.
Thanks, man.
All right, guys. Hey, well, have a nice night, everyone.
All right, take it easy.
Yeah, you guys do.
Later.